So on Wednesday, the 22nd of October, unfortunately, Denbighshire County Council decided to close down a 50-year-old supported business in the Rhyl area, which is for people who are from Rhyl or know Rhyl. Unfortunately, it has a bad reputation, but it's actually a great town, full of great people, a lot of talent. And it's been there for, as I said, 50 years. It was established in 1976 by the then Clwyd County Council. It's had various different names, but essentially it's done the same thing. So it's been, I don't know what right word to use to describe it, because it's such a unique and fantastic service, which is well thought of by the staff, well thought of by local people. I took great pride in working there for sort of 14 years, and I'm not ashamed to say that if there's anybody that's an expert in that business, that's me. I understand how it fits in the local authority, I understand the marketplace, I understand the people, I understand the challenges, and I'm absolutely appalled, saddened, disgusted by the decision that's been taken and the way the decision's been taken. I would agree that Cefndy Healthcare in its current form is not a sustainable business, and it needs to change for the future. And that's part of the problem, is that, you know, any business, in order to succeed, needs to change, needs to adapt, needs to be permanently innovating, needs to be permanently moving forward. Now, I believe Cefndy's stagnated for quite a number of years, but particularly over the last 5 years, just due to the fact they've depleted resource. So there is no sales and marketing resource, or none to speak of. And unfortunately, I don't believe that there's really been any activity in the last sort of 3 to 4 years to improve the business at all. You know, they talk about the fact that they've done this sort of value engineering. I would challenge that, and I think that's part of the problem, is that the councillors, so the cabinet of 7 Labour councillors and 2 Plaid Cymru, have unfortunately made the unanimous decision to close it down based on recommendations from officers. Now, those officers that have made that recommendation, from what my knowledge is and my understanding, they have no business experience. If they have, it's very little. It's certainly not in the manufacturing sector, and certainly not in the healthcare market that Cefndy operates in. So for them people to have been the ones that have made the recommendation with no external input from people who do understand manufacturing, do understand the marketplace. I mean, they've cited a couple of conversations with consultants, etc. But one thing I did notice in the quality impact assessment report that they've done was that they mentioned the people that they've consulted with. They're there by name and job title, just to add sort of weight, I think, to that quality impact assessment. However, any of the people or organisations that they've allegedly engaged with to try and either sell the business or look at an alternative delivery model for the business, they're not named. And I think, you know, some of the councillors there, particularly one, Gareth Sandland, made a very good point, that he'd spoken to the person in charge of the largest supported business in North Wales, and the comments from him was he was appalled at the decision that was likely to be made, because he'd not even been consulted. Nobody had had a conversation with him. Now, the response from Nicholas Stubbins, the corporate director, was really poor on that front, in that it's a different business model. Well, maybe it's a different business model, but everybody agrees that the business model at Cefndy Healthcare needs to change. So perhaps taking that external input from somebody who knows what they're talking about might have been a positive. But essentially, I mean, I think it summed it up for me. I watched the cabinet meeting live, and I've watched it back twice. So I've spent, you know, nearly 8 hours of my own time just watching this, analysing and trying to see if, you know, perhaps they are reasonable and perhaps they are making the right decision. But from what I could see, that whole meeting was just a justification to close the site. I mean, if you look at the dates that they put in when they put about the staff support plan, that assumes that the decision would have already been made by the time the decision was made. And I think that was because they were hoping that decision could have been made in cabinet briefing, which is a closed doors meeting with no minutes, so they wouldn't have had to discuss this in the public domain. I mean, I think that the main driver for this is the fact that they are looking for the capital receipt from Llandrillo College. And again, I don't disagree with the fact that, you know, it might be the best thing for that site to be sold to the college, but that doesn't mean that that business needs to close. There are alternative options to run that business. Now, from my extensive knowledge of the marketplace, of the business, of the customers, of the suppliers, and of the innovation element, which I proved that concept back in 2018 by successfully obtaining the crisis contract in partnership with another organisation. And I believe that can be a profitable business. I believe it's a business that can grow and be sustainable for the future. I believe it can not only offer the great service that it offers at the moment, but also offer more to more people, a wider group of disadvantaged people. You know, I think they said they've explored these various different options, but there's no evidence of that. You know, I mean, they say that they have problems recruiting staff. I don't know when the last time they tried to recruit a welder, but as far as I know, it's not been within a number of years. So how can they possibly say that they can't recruit the staff if they've not tried to recruit the staff? You know, they say that the market's gone. Well, when did the last time they attended a trade fair or exhibited at a trade fair or submitted a tender? You know, what are the results of their tenders? You know, what are the barriers to them sort of getting more business, or at least sustaining the business where it is? You know, what did they do on the back of the increased sales from COVID? You know, was that opportunity capitalised on? I don't believe so, and I believe that can be a profitable business, and I'm prepared to put myself on the line, my personal reputation, my personal money on the line, and to try and save that. So I thought I'd make some videos, see if anybody's interested in coming along on the journey, or at least watching how that journey pans out. If I'm honest, I've got a huge hill to climb. I think I'm going to face resistance from certainly the officers at Denbighshire County Council, because they will certainly not want me to achieve something that they can't. But I believe I am the best person. I believe I have the knowledge. I believe I have the experience, the skills, and the capabilities to take that business forward. And yeah, I just thought I'd put this sort of first video out there to see if anybody's interested. You know, I'd love to hear from some staff members. You know, I would make a commitment now that anything I create on the back of Cefndy Healthcare, anybody that is currently there as a disabled employee with challenges or barriers to work, that they would automatically have a position in whatever new company I create. Now, I can't say that that'll be the same positions they have at the moment or on the same terms and conditions, because I'm just way away from getting to that stage. But I would happily make that commitment, because I know some of those people there absolutely love their jobs. They're passionate about it. I think in the staff feedback that's come via the unions, you know, they don't think that place should close. They completely disagree with a lot of the information that's been submitted in those reports. I think some of the councillors made some good points, like what's changed massively in the last 18 months that's gone from this could be sustainable to this needs to close. But I could waste an awful lot of time analysing what's gone on, the decisions that have been made, and you know, whether they're the right decisions, whether they've been based on the right information, whether people have done their jobs properly. But I think, quite frankly, that's a bit of a waste of time. It's emotive. You know, I want to look at the future. I want to look at sustaining that business. I want to look at building that so it not only is sustainable at the £2.7 million that it's turning over at the moment, but that it grows. And I believe it can do, run in the right way. You know, I think things need to change. I think they need to sort of manufacture from stock. I think they need to look at the product lines that are sold. I think they need to look at some of the relationships, some of the prices, some of the marketing. I mean, you know, anybody can go on www.cefndy.com and have a look at the website. Now, that website's not changed in 5 years. There's no new product. There's no innovation that I can see. So I don't want to waffle on for long. I mean, I think this is nearly 10 minutes already. But you know, if anybody wants to get in touch, if anybody has any interest in you know, coming on this journey and seeing any more of these videos, please let me know.